Shannon, how close is Donald to being the best defensive player ever?
He's top 5 already. And I don't say that lightly because I played in the era with a lot of these great defensive players. I played in the era with LT. I played against Bruce Smith, Reggie White, Deion Sanders. I played with some of the all-time greats, Ricky, whoever you want to put up there. I played against them, Skip. This kid's top 5 already. He has 3 defensive players of the year. He's tied with LT and J.J. Watt. He has 7 first-team All-Pro consecutive in 8 seasons. That's the longest first-team All-Pro selections, offense or defense, since the 60s. Any position, offense or defense. He's the premier defensive player. I got a case. He's a top 5 player, not just defensive player, the player in all of football. You put this on his resume, a Super Bowl with 3 defensive players of the year, Skip? Yeah. But I believe he's a top 5 all-time great. Since he's entered the league, he's number 1 in sacks, 98, that's 8 more than the closest. He's number 1 in tackle for losses, 150, 36 more than the next closest. He's number 1 in QB hits, 226, 42 more than the closest. Joe Burrow's gonna have 99 problems, and AD is it. He's legit. When you as an offensive player, Skip, when we come in on Wednesday, we go have up on the board the defense. And there are certain guys, if we don't control him, we can't win this game. No matter what we do, if we can't control Reggie, we can't win. You can't control Bruce, you can't win. See, Deion, we could just stay away from him. We eat the other guy up. He can't cover everybody, so we just left him alone. Deion had an easy day. Jersey didn't even get dirty. Uniform didn't get dirty when he played the Broncos because we wasn't fooling with him. But that other guy, he gonna have a messy jersey because we gonna force feed the other guys the ball. Skip, this guy, and here's the thing, he's a DT. Double teams. Now, when I say DT, the under tackle was made famous by one Mean Joe Green. And everybody tried to find that. And you got a Warren Sapp, and you got a Johnny Randall, who I played against all those guys. Not Mean Joe, but I played against Sapp, and I played against Johnny. He's top 5, Skip. He's the real deal. You watch him, even if you don't know anything about football, give it about 5 minutes into the ball game, and you're gonna ask yourself, well, who's 99? How he do that? Why he on that man? People that don't know football, you don't skip with like, how he able to jump on the quarterback like that? Ain't that a flag or something? No, that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to get off the ball and jump on the opposing team's quarterback. Constant double teams. And then he opens it up for Leonard Floyd and Von Miller and the Greg Gaines and the Ashawn Robinson. 99 for the Rams. He's a top 5 defensive player as we sit here.
I hear everything you just said, and I try to see everything you just said, and I don't always, or I might even go to often see what you're talking about with Aaron Donald. I think he's a great guy. I got nothing personal against him because I think he's a great leader for that team. When Raheem Morris says that everybody in that building wants to win for Aaron Donald, he's not saying for Odell or Matt Stafford or name some Jalen. The building wants to win it for Aaron Donald. Because he's high class, high caliber, good guy, great player. So they're saying he deserves to cap off his career, not cap it, but before he finishes, you got to get him one.
Yeah, Skip, that's the icing on the cake right there. He already got the cake. Now he just want the icing, Super Bowl ring, and that's it.
Because he's now 8 years in. So you, like you just said in the previous topics, you know, you can't trust that you're going to get back here. Right? So they're saying this is our shot. And I will agree with you on your premise. Your overall takeaway on this football game is Aaron Donald could wreck this game. And you think he will wreck the game. And if you're right, Cincinnati will lose and could lose badly. The more I hear people talk about Aaron Donald, it's not that he's going to cause Joe Burrow 99 problems. It feels like he might sack him 99 times as opposed to the only 9 sacks that he took at Tennessee. Right? Okay, I get all that. I'm just telling you that in sheer RPM, I'm talking about how hot your motor runs. I also came up through your era in that I got to see a whole lot of Lawrence Taylor. His motor ran, to me, a little hotter than Aaron's runs. I got to watch the great Charles Haley, and I had all kinds of battles with him off the field because he's a little crazy in a good way because he played crazy. And trust me, his motor ran a little hotter than Aaron's does. Now, he was more of a pure edge rusher with Charles Haley. Listen, the Dallas Cowboys don't have a dynasty in the early 90s.
Yeah. He changed
92, 3, and 5.
Yeah,
They don't do that. He changed their life. And this is what I always give Jerry Jones one big slice of the pie credit.
Right.
He was the one who said, somebody had to tell him how good Charles Haley was, but once he got that through his head, he was the one who went to Carmen Policy, their arch rival within the conference. And talked him out of a guy that they had just said, we're done with.
We'll trade him anywhere. We got to get him out of our building.
We'll even give him to those young, upcoming, on the verge Dallas Cowboys. And he handed them 3 Super. That's what he did. Okay. But that's Charles Haley. So I'm the biggest fan on the field of Charles Haley. I saw more. Where if you eye test Charles Haley or Lawrence Taylor, you're going to see more. To your point, we're talking about 2 guys who rushed off the edge versus the defensive tackle. So he gets pinned sometimes. He gets doubled or tripled or whatever it is.
Guard working against him.
He just gets stuck. And he won't flash on your TV screen because he just stuck.
Right.
Okay, but I look back at that run to the Super Bowl that they lost 13 to, what was it, 3?
13-3.
Yeah, 13-3 to Belichick and Brady. Okay, so in that run, I look at what happened in the Dallas game, and I've seen him 5 times against Dallas in his career. He was very quiet. And then they went to New Orleans, and he was pretty quiet in that game. He did end up with 3 hits on the quarterback, but that was an overtime game. You remember that they stole, I think, but they did. And then in the Super Bowl, he had 1 hit on the quarterback. He did have 5 tackles, but only 1 solo, so he had 4 assists. So in that run, those 3 playoff games, he had no sacks. Well, it's hard to justify, wow, Aaron Donald, because I couldn't see Aaron Donald enough through that run. And then the next year, they wind up in Green Bay, and he's got, I guess, cracked ribs or whatever, and he was just a no-show.
Himself.
Yeah, there was nothing that happened. He had 0 hits on Aaron Rodgers and 0 sacks. Pro Football Focus ranked him in those 2 playoff games the 41st best defensive player in the playoffs. The run to the New England Super Bowl, he was ranked 20th by Pro Football Focus in overall defensive stature of all defensive players. And now this year he's been ranked 10th best. And against Arizona, he had half a sack. At Tampa, he did have 5 tackles. He had 3 solo. It was a pretty good game. He had 3 hits on Brady, did not have a sack. He deflected a pass. And then against San Francisco, again, 0 sacks, 3 assisted tackles, 2 hits on the quarterback. Look, it's very good, but you keep angling toward he's on course to become the greatest ever. That's where you're heading with this. I haven't seen that yet. Maybe I'll see it. I will give you this, and I've said this 2 or 3 times this year. He is flashing for me more this year than he has before. Where on various Monday night games or big stage regular season games, I see 99, where, like I used to see Reggie White, he lined up mostly at defensive end.
Defensive end, But what Reggie, and you see what they've started doing. They'll start moving Aaron Donald. They'll line him up at the nose. They'll shade him. They'll put him on the defensive, put him in the end slot because he's trying to find the weak link. And whatever the weak link is, he's going to pull on it. And he's going to keep pulling on it until this is the weak link, and he's going to make a home over there. Skip, it's a lot harder. I don't know if we've ever said the best player in football has been a defensive tackle because of the constant double teams. You talk about Dallas, you do realize he was going up against 2 All-Pros, Frederick and Zach Martin. At the time, Zach Martin was the unquestioned best guard in football, and playing alongside him was an All-Pro center.
Okay, so to your point, I watched him 5 times starting in 2014 against my Cowboys, and obviously I'm going to watch very closely every snap. He registered 1 sack in 5 games, and that was in, remember, opening night 2 years ago at SoFi, 20-17, when Gallup got called for offensive push on Jay Ram, which was outrageously wrong, but that's fine.
That was a foul.
Yeah, but the point is, that's the only sack I've seen. So against my Cowboys, he's been pretty to very quiet, where I would watch whole games and say, did he get hurt? I don't remember him. But to your point, I'm trying to be nice here, that at defensive tackle, you can get engulfed by better play, like two really good players.
Yeah, to neutralize you.
They can neutralize you.
And so now he has Vaughn on one side, Leonard Floyd on the other.
Point. That is the point.
So now
he did lead them in sacks with 12.5 this year, but hey, Floyd had 9.5. Yikes.
Yeah.
And Greg Gaines had 4.5. And every time I look up, I keep telling you, I see Greg Gaines flash like crazy. Mainly because the weak link is trying to block Greg Gaines.
But you saw what happened. You said, well, he didn't get a sack on Brady in Tampa.
Yep.
You know who did have a bunch of sacks? Leonard Floyd and Von Miller did.
They did.
So now we control him, and so that's why you get a Von Miller. Von, go beat the tackle one-on-one.
And Von Miller looks revitalized to me. He was sort of losing his edge in Denver because they were losing their edge.
Skip, it's hard to rush the passer when you're down 14. Because guess what? We're going to turn around and hand the ball off. We're not going to let you wreck the shot. More times than not, they play with a lead with the Rams. Especially, this was tailor-made for Von Miller, Skip, the Tampa. You're down 14-3, you're down 21-3, you're down 27-3. I can just pin me in, but run it all you want to. I ain't even worried about that. But Skip, this kid, this young man here, he's as good as we've seen.
Okay.
And the longevity, because J.J. Watt was on that course, and then all of a sudden, Skip, injuries, and he was never the same. This kid doesn't look like he's slowing down.
J.J. Watt YouTubed his way out. He was trying so many dangerous stunts on YouTube. I think he wrecked himself.
Flipping 1,000-pound tires.
All right, I'll finish with this story. You brought up the great Bruce Smith, and listen, for those who remember this, he was just hellacious handful to try to stop.
He was.
So those Bills team that kept getting to the Super Bowl, the night before the first Cowboy Super Bowl in the 90s, it's the first one of Troy, Emmett, Michael against Buffalo. I had dinner that night with Norv Turner, then the offensive coordinator, went on to be a head coach, as you well know. And his whole message to me over dinner that night before was, if we can't block Bruce Smith, we're going to lose. So he had Daryl Johnston, the fullback, Moose. It was all about chipping where you have to... You have to be conscious. What would he wear, 78?
78.
Yeah, 78. You have to know 78.
Yes.
You have to make sure you neutralize him, you stymie him at least a little bit, or Aikman's going to be on his back all day, and maybe there'll be a sack fumble, and maybe there'll be a big momentum swing because he could be unblockable.
He could.
Okay, I said the same thing this time. And this offensive line has been suspect at best.
Right. And your offensive line was a lot better than this defensive line.
I've made the case, and it hadn't quite arrived yet.
Yes.
Those 3 Super Bowl years, that's the greatest offensive line I ever saw. Ever saw. I'm talking about monsters across the ball. We're talking about some Hall of Famers.
They was huge.
Huge. And little Emmett at 5'9" could just duck and dart behind him, and you couldn't find him until he's 5 yards in your secondary.
Brucey doesn't get the credit that he deserves because he played in the era with LT. He played in the era with Reggie. But Brucey, I give Brucey credit because Brucey was a 3-4 end. Brucey got 200 sacks as a 3-4 defensive end, so basically playing a 5 technique, which is a lot harder than lining up in a 7 technique or what they call the Cowboy 9, which is a wide end. He didn't do that. He lined up in a 34. He was mainly in a 34 defense. And think about this, Skip. They didn't throw the ball like they throw it now. Those teams ran it 60% of the time.
The Dallas did.
Skip, he legit. He
I know he's legit.
He legit.
I'm just not seeing
I tell you what, guess what?
Taylor.
We'll come in here on Monday and you'll say, okay, I saw
it's
it.
over.
Yeah, I saw it.
Greatest defensive player ever. I will come in and say that if it happens.
Talk about. I'm not ready to put him above LT now.
Well, you might be after Sunday evenings.
Huh? LT won an MVP over the entire league.
I know, but you are driving that Hollywood bandwagon.
AD.
Hollywood Rams.
He top 5 right now. I don't know if you'll find any guys that do this for a living, writers or anybody that covered the game, because you would have had to see LT to have some comparison between the two. And I happen to be in the era that says this guy's not top 5 right now.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think you're angling to top 1.
I keep thinking if he was coming my way, what I would do, and I just have no idea. That would be a scary, scary thought. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.